Hello and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And my goodness, do I have quite the guest with me today. What a fantastic, I don't know if it's fantastic, but what a story he has to share with us. His name is Chancellor Jackson. He is an author, educator, coach, and entrepreneur. After graduating from Stetson University with a degree in communication and media studies, Chancellor lived abroad in China from 2018 to 2019. His career as an author was launched after his traumatic experience of being arrested and detained in Beijing for 14 days. His first book is titled 14 Days in Beijing and has ranked #1 on Amazon over 15 times in multiple genres. He has also released a romantic saga about a man's first step toward emotional intelligence titled You Love and You Learn, and Real Love Never Dies. Chancellor, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Hey, blessings and balance to you, Cheryl. Blessings and balance to everyone that's tuning in. Big shout out to the viewers. Y'all the real MVPs. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Well, and you are just, your story is just so fascinating and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's definitely a journey, you know what I'm saying? But it was all part of, you know what I'm saying? It was all written, you know what I'm saying? Everything that transpired needed to transpire in order for me to be who I am and where I am right now. So
that's an incredible attitude. So why don't you just share your story? Start from the beginning. Here you are, a brand new graduate, Stetson University, and you have your whole life ahead of you, and you decide to do what?
So I played football while I was at Stetson, all 4 years. So once my career came to an end, it was just the last game of, you know what I'm saying, my career. The last game was November 2017. And I knew the NFL wasn't going to be in the picture as far as the future. So it was time for me to hang up the cleats. And I was just at a crossroad because I identified and embodied a student athlete and football player to the fullest. And now that, you know what I'm saying, it came to an end, I was like, damn, bro, what's next, bro? What we finna do? You know what I'm saying? Who are we truly? Like, what do you want out of life? Who do you aspire to be? What's your purpose? What do you like to do? What are you good at doing? You know what I'm saying? I couldn't answer any questions. I didn't know where to start, but I knew I had to start somewhere. And I immediately just started applying for jobs. It was mainly corporate positions I was applying for, sales, marketing, management, that whole nine. And I'm landing interviews. I'm talking about these folks flying me out, putting me up in hotels, the whole nine. But I could not seem to land a position. And they kept hitting me with the same BS excuse. Oh, you just lack the experience. So we're going to go with somebody with a little bit more experience. And it's like, for sure, you know what I'm saying? But y'all knew that was the case when I submitted my resume. But you know what I'm saying? We set up all this, you know what I'm saying? We set up all of this. And now I got in front of y'all face, the whole paradigm has shifted. But for sure, whatever y'all say. And I did this process for like 8 months. You know what I'm saying? I done graduated. I'm back home. And I'm like, damn, bro, I did everything, quote unquote, the textbook way, and I still got the short end of the stick. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't take it too personal just because I've been in this position before. When I was trying to find a college to go play at, I had to take it upon myself and reach out to different schools before I found Stetson. So I've been here before, and I just knew to stay down, keep trusting the process, keep putting yourself out there. We can't quit. If we quit, we'll never be shit. So that's not even an option. We might need to approach this job searching thing because clearly corporate ain't for you, family. We've been at this for months. We gotten close, but ain't been able to reel anything in. So let's reapproach this job searching thing. What are you good at? All right, but you good at working with people, talking to people. That sounds like social work to me. So I'm on the search engine. I just typed in social work, hit enter. And going through the filters, I noticed a button I never noticed before, and it said international. I'm like, dang. Why haven't I thought to look outside the U.S. for opportunities? Because I wasn't just applying for jobs in Georgia or Florida. No, I was applying for jobs across the nation. I'm getting flown out to Chicago, the whole, you know what I'm saying, all over the place. So I'm like, clearly America ain't trying to mess with me. Let's see what the rest of the world talking about. And with me doing that, that's when I saw teach English to kids in China. I was like, damn, that sounds lit. You know what I'm saying? I've always been interested in China since I was a kid. So when I read the job description, I'm like, bro, I feel like I can do this. This is how I've been applying for jobs up until this point anyway. I ain't got no experience. I feel like I can do it. I'm going to apply. So I went looked over the requirements, bachelor degree, no matter what your degree is in, native English speaker, clean background. I'm like, all right, bet. How do I apply? All you got to do is submit a resume. But that's nothing but 2 clicks of a button. Boom, boom. I go on about the rest of my search. Don't think nothing of it. Hear back from the recruiter. We set up an interview, do the interview. A few days pass, and the recruiter reaches back out to me. It's like, yeah, we want to move forward with you as a candidate. So after all this time, this trial and error, first job to finally tell me yes on the other side of the world. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we finna do. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I ended up out there. And I knew that China was going to be a great stepping stone towards me just discovering myself, learning, you know what I'm saying, learning more about myself, my passions, skill sets, and what I'm made of. And you know what I'm saying, will be able to put me on path to, you know what I'm saying, where I need to be going and what I need to be doing. So I
Okay,
entered China.
first of all, before you even continue, I absolutely love your attitude. I love that positive energy. I love that when you're getting turned down for all the other jobs, it was like, okay, I've got to figure this out. I'm going to do something else. And then now you land this job in China and you know that it's going to be an opportunity to learn more about yourself. You had no idea how much more you were going to learn, right?
For sure. For sure. I know, I'm like, China, it's gonna be a whole different world, a whole different man, whole different spectrum. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be major. So I know I'm gonna grow a lot tremendously when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? And I was excited for the journey. I'm like, I can't wait to see where I'm at after this year, who I'm gonna be, all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I entered China on October 10th, 2018. I took us it took me about a month and a half to get fully adjusted, you know what I'm saying, after we, you know what I'm saying, found our apartment and moved in and our money started to roll in. It was smooth sailing after that. China was by far the best experience I've ever had. I always encourage people to travel abroad, but if you could live abroad someplace, I highly recommend it. You see how much you learn about yourself and most importantly, life in general. So here I am exploring Beijing, you know what I'm saying, enjoying everything that China has to offer. I enjoyed the people. The people were extremely nice. I love working with the kids. Kids are kids no matter where you are on the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Kids are kids. But I'm working with kids as young as 3 years old all the way up to 14, but mainly working with the elementary school age range. So, you know what I'm saying? We was always lit in class. We always had a blast. And with me, this was the primary reason why I'm in China. So this is really going to make or break it. So I'm glad that I enjoyed teaching. So I learned, I got a little knack for it essentially. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know that before. So that was lit. The food, authentic Chinese food, like no other. And it's healthy for you. So I lost a lot of weight and man, the cuisine was phenomenal. Exploring Beijing. You know, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. This is a whole new world essentially. So it's like, it don't matter what we're doing, everything is going to be an adventure. And then, of course, meeting the other foreigners out there. It's like at all places in the world I could have met y'all. We met in Beijing, China. It's not even, you can't just book no ticket and come to China. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we here, hey, man, that's something to brag about. So it's like you have nothing but a deep reverence for, you know what I'm saying, your fellow foreigners, especially, you know what I'm saying, the fellow people of color. You know what I'm saying? Here in Atlanta, I see Black people left and right. You know what I'm saying? Won't pay them no mind. Over there in China, we speaking to each other, we acknowledging, embracing each other. It's like we got, man, it's like we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So it was a dope experience, and everything was smooth until about 6 months in, and that's when things took a turn. It took a turn. So on April 4th, 2019. It's a day off for me. I'm gonna get ready to head to a team builder event that my company hosts team builder events every month. And with this event in particular, we were going to be customizing our own Chinese fans. So I'm like, okay, that's going to be lit. That just seemed like a little cool thing to do. So before I go, I'm a pregame. Now, for those that don't know what pre-gaming is, say you and some friends or some family members, y'all going to go out on a night full of festivities. But before y'all go out, y'all say, hey, let's meet at so-and-so house first. We're going to party at their house a little bit, and then we're going to go out and have more fun. So I'm in an apartment. I'm drinking some Chinese wine coolers, smoke some cannabis out my little silver pipe. I get done, get dressed, make sure I got everything I need before I walk out the door. Now I hear a knock. But guests aren't unfamiliar, so I'm curious to see who it is. I look through the peephole, and there's the 3 officers from the Beijing police. Instantly, I got spooked, sick to my stomach, like, oh, what they doing here? So I scramble, put everything up, open the door. They walk in, the officer in front, he's speaking to me. Of course, it's written plain as day on my face. I have no clue what he's saying. So he pulls out his phone, he speaks into a translator app and shows me the translation. I read, it says, are you on drugs? Huh? Drugs? What you talking about, family? Nah, I don't know what you talking about. Passport? Yeah, you might want to see my passport. You got me confused with somebody else. So I go grab all my documentation, bring it back to the officer to review. I'm like, here you go, player. I don't know what type of time you on, but this is me. This is who I am. This is what I got going on. I mean, I'm just trying to finesse the situation. You know what I'm saying? So He sit down, he looking over my documents. The other two officers, they're just walking around the apartment, just scoping it out. You know what I'm saying? Nothing too crazy. Few minutes pass, another officer enters the apartment and he has something in his hand. I can't really make heads or tails what it is, nor am I devoting that much energy trying to figure it out. But the new officer, he hands that item to the officer that's looking over my documents. And then that officer tells me that I need to pee into this cup. So it's a drug test right down the spot.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, right then and there, I was like, oh, yeah, it's over with.
Oh my God.
It's over with. So do the drug test, fail the drug test, of course. And now it's about 8 officers in the department. I don't know where these folks came from.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? One officer in particular speaks English fluently. He's questioning me about failing the drug test. When's the last time I smoked? If I had any more, who I get it from. You know what I'm saying? That whole nine. Now, mind you, so for y'all to inform y'all, I'm from Atlanta, and Atlanta is known as the city of finesse. You live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So me and this officer, we going back and forth. And the first thing, that, mind you, I'm still high. The moment is big. I'm pissing down my leg, yet still trying to keep my composure. You know what I'm saying? So every question this officer posed to me, the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm just blurting out. I ain't really thinking about my answer. I'm just giving them, just saying something. And it got to a point within our interrogation where I was catching myself in my own lie. So I knew for a fact he more than likely was catching me in the same lie. But you live by the finesse, you die by the finesse. So we stayed going back and forth. And once he realized that I wasn't going to give him anything that he could work with, that's when he was like, all right, man, the charade is up. You know what I'm saying? Caught red-handed is over with. I'm like, all right, for sure. I died by the finesse this time. It's all good. I lived to finesse another day. Now I got to hold myself accountable.
Oh,
so
God.
I fess up to it. They confiscate everything, throw the cuffs on me, escort me out the building, and sit me down in the police van. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just, it really is just in disbelief. Like, dang, well, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I mean, personal question. It's really none of my business, but I'm guessing I know the answer. Had you ever been arrested before?
No, this is my first time being in this, anywhere in this near amount of trouble.
Okay, and here you are in not only a foreign country, but China. I mean, I don't think they really have a reputation for forgiveness when it comes to things like, you know, cannabis.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, they don't play. China's just a strict country. You know what I'm saying? They really don't play about a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Drugs for sure, but it's like even things that you wouldn't think was that serious. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just different over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just in disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Not sure what's going to take place, but I'm like, hey, just sit tight. We finna learn. We finna learn shortly. So we get to one precinct and we're there briefly, I say about 20 minutes. And then they come get me and we get back in the van. So I'm like, okay, where are we going? We ride in, 30 minutes pass. We arrive at another precinct. This one's a little bit bigger and has holding cells. So have me change clothes and throw me in the holding cell with about 8 other Chinese dudes. And I'm in that holding cell for about 20 minutes before they come get me and take me to the basement of the precinct. And we enter this white room. And in the middle of this white room is this all metal chair that looks like an electric chair. So they walk me over to the chair and they open it and they just looking at me. And I'm looking back at them. I look at the chair, look back at them, look at the chair again. Look back at them like, y'all really want me to sit down in this type of chair? And they just looking at me with a straight face. So I sat on down. You know what I'm saying? This thing locked my shins, thighs, waist, chest, and arms all in one place. The only part of my body I could move was my head. So I did my whole interrogation, you know what I'm saying, locked into this all metal chair like this here. But by this time, there was plenty of time to come up with a good story to finesse them with. So I gave them my fabricated story. They brought the transcription over for me to read. Mind you, it's all written in Mandarin, so I have no clue what this thing says. But they say to sign it, I sign it. They say thumbprint it, I thumbprint. And they release me from the chair. So we go upstairs, they take my mugshot, handprint, and they throw me back in the holding cell. And now, you know what I'm saying, now I'm just in there just reflecting on the entire day from what had transpired at the apartment to the interrogation, what I could have did better at the apartment, what I could have said better during the interrogation, just coming up with just different scenarios. But all in all, with me failing that drug test, I was going to end up in the same predicament. So, you know what I'm saying, I was damned either way. But now my high is finally starting to come down. So now I'm fading in and out of consciousness while the sun just slowly, you know what I'm saying, fades away until it's still darkness. And then they come get me from the holding cell after hours can pass. walk me to the lobby of the precincts and bring my basket of clothes, tell me to get dressed. So I'm like, oh, snap. Hey, see, look, you work with these folks, your energy's good, you're compliant, you know what I'm saying? Things work out in your favor. So I done got dressed, I'm waiting for the next set of orders. They had me follow them through the door that's behind the front desk in the lobby, and now we're in the hallway. At the end of this hallway is a small room. All right, so I'm following the CO into this room. And as I enter, I can only assume that this is some form of evidence room, just because I see evidence bags everywhere. No sense of organization, structure whatsoever, just it's hoarded. But in the middle of the room is a table. And you know what I'm saying, in the center of the table is everything that was confiscated from my apartment. So they take the cannabis and they weigh it up right there in front of me. Now, this is where things get interesting within the book, because as a reader, you're curious, how much does he actually have on him? One. Two, when have you ever heard or saw law enforcement weigh whatever they just confiscated from you right up there in front, right in front of you? I thought that was weird. So that was interesting. But most importantly, as you can tell, I'm not really receiving no information as far as what's going to happen next. I'm learning as I go. That is the premise of the whole story. It's a complete mystery until one day they just finally call your name to come on. So I have no clue what's going to take place. All I'm going to be in this situation. So with that being said, I received a lot of signs and messages from my ancestors, my higher powers, my guardian angels, whatever you want to refer to them as, let me know how long I was going to be in this situation, how this thing was going to play out. And this was the very first sign they sent me. And it was the only live and action sign I received. The other signs occurred in my dreams. So he weighs the weed up, and it tells it out to be 1.4 grams. Now, for those that partake in cannabis, you know 1.4 grams isn't a lot. Even if you don't partake in cannabis, we're talking units of measurement. 1.4 grams of anything is a lot. But you look at that number, 1.4. Imagine I have a whiteboard right here, and I drew 1.4 on this whiteboard, and then I took an eraser and just erased the decimal. What number would you see?
14.
Hence the title of the book. Now, did I catch that initially? No, it went clean over my head. But they put everything on paper. I can't read it still, but they say sign it, thumbprint it, I thumbprint it. Now we get back in the van. I have no clue where we're going. I'm like, I look at the clock on the radio, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. They arrested me at like 11 a.m. So I'm like, bro, I've been in custody all day. I don't work with these folks, been compliant. I'm like, there's no way they're not taking me home. You know what I'm saying? So we riding. 40, 50 minutes pass, and we arrive at a facility detailed with tall walls and barbed wire. I was like, oh yeah, we just getting started. We just getting started. So we enter, go to the nurse's office, do a quick physical. They take me to the next room to give me my official uniform. They gave me a plastic bowl and a plastic spoon, and then took me upstairs to the second floor to where the men are housed. We get to cell 209, and mind you, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning at this point, so people are asleep. The CO opens the cell door, and instantly my psyche is thrown from what I see. In the book, I describe it, it looks like a slumber party. You know what I'm saying? So it's a huddle of bodies sleeping on wooden bunks. The beds are numbered, wooden bunks, and it's a huddle. I'm like, it looks crazy. Like back in the day when we was kids and we had like a little sleepover, but everybody got to make room. So, you know, it's what it looked like, but random grown men. But weirdly enough, across from the slumber party, standing up against the wall are 2 Chinese inmates, wide awake, watching them sleep. So, of course, with them being awake, we make eye contact. The last thing them folks expect to see come walking through this door was a brother with locks. The last thing I expected to see was these 2 Chinese folks watching other Chinese folks sleep. So we just got this awkward moment of eye contact, just trying to feel each other out, trying to make sense of what's going on. So I take a step into the cell. I do a head count. Okay, including me, it's 15 of us in here. And I count the beds, 9 in total. I'm like, well, it makes sense why it looks like a slumber party then. To the left is the bathroom. It's its own separate room, but all the walls are made of glass so everybody can see inside. You have a regular sink, a squat toilet, so pretty much a hole in the ground you got to squat over. Shower ain't nothing but the water hose and the shower head duct taped together. You got black mold coating the walls, insects flying around. So it's not the most sanitary place, to say the least. So I approach the slumber party trying to find a spot to lie down. And they make room for me, and they have me set my bowl and my spoon in the cubbies up underneath the beds. So I lay down between these 2 Chinese dudes, my hands on my chest like this here. I'm staring at the bright light on the ceiling. And that's when reality fully kicked in. Like, hey, boy, we in here for real, for real. We don't know how long we finna be in here. Nothing that's been explained to us. Nobody knows we're in here. You know what I'm saying? Ain't been no judge, lawyer, none of that. So it's like, hey. And more than likely, we the only English speaker in the cell right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a number of Chinese folks in here. So I'm like, hey, ain't gonna be no communication. So it's not really looking too good. But I have to hold myself accountable. I can't be upset or place the blame on anybody for me being in this situation but me, because I made a conscious decision and I knew the repercussions from it. So now that shit has hit the fan, hey man, it is what it is. I got to take this to the chin. However it's gonna play out for sure. All right. So with that being said, moving forward, what needs to take place for this, to speed this process up? Well, people got to realize you're in here, Chance. Well, you're supposed to meet friends and colleagues at that event today, and you didn't show up. I'm sure they called you and you ain't answered. Is that weird? Nah, not really, but you know what I'm saying? It's weird. Now, you don't show up for work Saturday and Sunday, our busiest days of the week, all hell's gonna break loose, because now they got to find somebody to cover all your classes last minute. And one of those colleagues I was gonna meet at that event, me and her worked at the same as at school. And she from Atlanta too. So she gonna know, all right, he ain't show up to the event, now he ain't showing up for work. Something's wrong, red flag. I'm like, boom, that's one thing. The other one was like, I had a girlfriend at the time that still lived in America, but we talked regularly. I said, when I don't respond to her messages, all hell's breaking loose. So I know I'm have to, it's Friday morning now. I'm gonna have to at least sit through the weekend before I become missing on people's radar. So come Monday, hopefully the search for me will begin. And you know what I'm saying? We'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. You know what I'm saying? Let's take it step by step. Let's just get through the weekend for now. So I'm like, so just try to get some rest, you know what I mean? And when we wake up, we'll just, you know what I'm saying, see how we're just gonna take it step by step. But yeah, we locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 15 men to one cell, 9 wooden beds, 3 soups a day. And literally all I had was that one plastic bowl and that one plastic spoon, 14 days.
Jeez. Okay. So, I mean, I'm mesmerized here. And for people who aren't watching the video, my face is just kind of like, I look like I'm in shock and awe. So at once you realize, I mean, the reality of all this is hitting you, you were still able to stay reasonably upbeat because you knew that at least, your friends, your girlfriend, people would understand you're missing. Where are you? And they would start looking. I mean, did you ever lose hope, or did you ever get really discouraged or despair?
Nah, I say towards like the end, I finally just fully submitted, you know what I mean, to the universe, to the ancestors, like, hey, this thing is beyond my control. Like, I done tried my best to, you know what I'm saying? I'm just hanging on the hope, but it's like, man, I'm getting my hopes up. So it's like, man, as soon as I just fully let go, that's when things, you know what I'm saying? I just finally let go. Like, man, y'all got it, bro. However long I gotta be here, it is what it is, bro. You know what I'm saying? For sure. You know what I'm saying? Accountability, though. Accountability first and foremost. Accountability has to play a factor into the equation. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't hold myself accountable, my situation probably would have played out a whole lot worse.
Wow.
For real. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that definitely played a huge role in, you know what I'm saying, how everything played out.
I'm curious too, just the fact that you had such a a background in athletics.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of mental, emotional, psychological toughness, as well as the physical training that comes along with playing a sport, especially that challenging, physically challenging and mentally challenging of a sport. Do you think that helped you?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Accountability, extreme ownership, like this is stuff that was instilled and beat down our throat when I was in college. You know what I'm saying? So for sure, it definitely played a huge role. For sure. And every time I tell the story, even when you read the book, people like, bro, you was so calm. I would have lost I would have lost my mind. I don't see how you, but it's like, man, you got to stay even keel. In the fog of war, in the middle of the game, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You got to stay even keel, because it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions throughout the course of the game. You're going to have good plays, bad plays. So you got to be able to stay right there in the middle. You can't, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
In martial arts, we call that gaman, or at least in the art that I study. So yeah, no matter what you're faced with, it's just like, serenity. You don't want anybody to see what's really going on inside of you.
On me. For sure. For sure. So
then what happened? How did you get out?
Literally, one day, one morning, before it was time for everybody, before they woke up everybody in the jail, them folks came, was like, come on. Today, they just call your name to come on. So you have no clue how long you're gonna be there. I'm here to tell y'all I did 14 days.
So was that on the 14th day, and they just came and got you. So when they came and got you, did you realize you were going to be released, or did you think, oh my gosh, what's coming next?
I knew I was gonna be released because I had a dream on day 5 or 6, and that dream was like pretty much a foreshadow of how the release would be. And my dream was spot on, except for like one factor. But my dream was spot on. And I was just so blown away with how in tuned and tapped in I was with my subconscious throughout this whole 14-day process. To receive these signs and be able to acknowledge them and try to make sense out of them. And when them folks called my name to go, like I was literally just standing there and just like just blown away. Like, bro, that's so crazy, bro. My dream was so spot on. Like I done forgot these folks calling me to go. They like, hey, bro, come on. I'm like, oh, my bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm that blown away. Like I'm just more intrigued with myself, if anything.
Oh my God. That's okay. So then when you were released, did you go back to your apartment? Were you able to talk to your friends? I mean, what happened after that once you were released?
So yeah, once I was released, they took me straight to my apartment to pack up the rest of my stuff, and then straight to the airport where I was deported from the country, all within 6 hours of being released. Yeah, they got me on up out of there. For sure, they got me up out of there. So I left.
So they just threw you out of the country.
Immediately.
Were you happy to leave?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm like, after that, I'm like, man, I'm good. Like I really didn't want to leave, but I understand this how this works. So like it's all good, bro. Like I got a full experience in Beijing. Within 6 months. The good, bad, ugly, beautiful, highs, lows. Like I got a full experience. Out in the 14 days, like I said, the best experience I've had by far. The last 14 days was just ugly. But we talking about 2 weeks in comparison to 6 months. That 6 months outweighed that 2 weeks by a landslide. So all in all, man, I'm grateful for the experience, and I gained what I needed to gain. Clearly, I gained what I needed to gain. The universe don't need me here no more. So came back to America, and I was back at square one, just like when football came to an end. Like, damn, bro, what's next? What we finna do? You know what I'm saying? It's square one all over again. And the only difference was between being back from China versus when football ended, I had experience. Before then, I had no experience, but I ain't just got any type of experience. I got experience on the other side of the world. So I'm like, bro, this is gonna open up doors, for real. So I'm like, you already been in the education field, you got experience with that, and you got a natural talent for it. So we might as well keep our foot on this gas for the time being, because I honestly don't know what else I'm gonna do next. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't tell me I was gonna be teaching. So I'm like, let's keep our foot on this gas. So I was still working in education. I was teaching English online through VIP Kids and stuff like that. It was multiple different platforms, but that's before virtual teaching became popular. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't even like this, bro. I was literally just in the field, you know what I'm saying, for real, working with the Chinese kids. Now I'm behind the screen. I'm like, yeah, I don't even like this. So I didn't really do that for too long. But I ended up falling into coaching that summer. And that was funny just because one of my little homies from across the street, he was still attending the high school I graduated from. He was like, hey, bro, we got summer workouts. You should come up there and watch us work out. I'm like, all right, for sure, I'll come up there. Went up there, I'm just watching, and they broke off into position groups. So I go down there with the DBs. That's what I play, defensive back, for y'all that's curious. So I go down there with the DBs and watching them go through drills. And I'm just giving pointers here and there. And then DB coach like, hey, bro, you trying to coach? I'm like, well, I ain't got nothing to do. I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm open for any and all opportunities. What's happening? So that's just how I fell into coaching. I also started writing 14 Days in Beijing that summer. And that was funny how that played out, because I was kicking it with one of my friends I grew up with, DeMarco Reddins. He was a published author before we graduated high school in 2014, like a traditionally published author. Yeah, we was going through graduations practice, and he, you know what I'm saying, had his copies and everything on him. But he was like, hey, bro, you ain't think about writing a book about the experience? I'm like, shh. Well, that's a good-ass idea. I don't even know where to start, but that's a good-ass idea. He took it further. He took my phone, went to my notes, left me a 5-layer outline. And I just started filling in the outline. And with me doing that, I called a flow for how I wanted to tell the story. So I moved from the notes on my phone to a Google Doc so I could type it up on my laptop. 4 months later, the story was written, and just spent an additional 6 months just getting it ready for publishing.
Wow.
So on April 4th, 2019, that's the day I was arrested in China. On April 4th, 2020, the anniversary date, I released the very first version of 14 Days of Beijing, and I was ranked the #1 new bestseller in 3 different genres.
Congratulations. What a story. And I love the fact that your friend said, hey, did you ever think about writing a book about those 14 days? And you were like, oh, no, I haven't. But I mean, look at how it changed your life. But there is one question I wanted to ask you. When you did land in America and the first time you got off the plane, did you kiss the ground?
Nah, I was it was a connecting flight. So from China to Seattle. Yeah, China to Seattle. And I only had like a short layover. So I was just happy to be back. You know what I'm saying? I went and grabbed some food and was just on the phone, tapping in with everybody. And then we got back on the flight to Atlanta. But I was toe up on that flight from China to Seattle. I flew with Delta, so I had unlimited drinks.
I'll bet you did.
Ooh, what? Hey, I was lit on the flight back, no cap.
And you certainly earned it. You deserved it.
I was lit on that flight back.
Okay, so now then when you get back to Atlanta, I'm curious, did your family and your girlfriend, did they know where you were for those 14 days?
Yeah, so I made contact with my mom and my brother on day 7.
Okay.
So I did a whole week in there before I was able to make contact with anybody. And the only reason I made contact with them because we met with the immigration dude, and his job was pretty much to find us a plane ticket for whenever our time was up. And we had to give him a name and number of who can buy our plane ticket for us. So they took they collected all us phones, took us downstairs, and you know what I'm saying, one by one. It was just one immigration dude. There's about 30 of us down there. So he would individually walk up to all of us, you know what I'm saying, just trying to get information. So I was in the middle of the line. So I'm like, I got plenty of time for he couldn't get to me. So that's why I just took the time to tap in with everybody as much as I can. And once he got to me, I called my mom and spoke to her for a little bit and spoke to my brother. It was a short phone call, probably like 2-3 minutes before I was like, yeah, she can buy the ticket. He said, all right, hang up the phone. I was like, all right, I gotta go. And that was the last contact I had with the outside world until, you know what I'm saying, I was released. But yeah, once I got back to Atlanta, my brother picked me up from the airport. And you know, so of course he had a million questions. So I'm just walking him through the whole process, and I'm linking up with just friends and you know what I'm saying, other tribal members, and just telling everybody what just happened. You know what I'm saying? But it was crazy. I knew I had something on my hands. I'm like, bro, every time I tell the story, like how your facial expression was. That times 10, but these folks can't even sit still. They can't even sit in their seat still. I'm like, okay, I got something. I just don't know how I'm gonna go about sharing this story to the masses. You know what I'm saying? So when Cubs like, hey, bro, you should write a book. I'm like, that's it right there. That's it.
So, okay, so you're a speaker as well. Do you do a lot of public speaking?
Yeah.
So when you do your public speaking, because even just in your story and the way you tell it, you have so many incredible life's lessons.
Yeah.
We've, interwoven in all of this entire story. So is that part of what you're doing with your speaking career? Are you just, being more of a motivational speaker? I would think that anybody listening to your story would be inspired that, you know what, no matter what I have to face.
On me.
Attitude is everything.
Facts.
Never give up. Just your whole viewpoint during these 14 days is just incredible.
Yeah, that's why I feel like 14 Days in Beijing is people like what is you say you're supposed to take away after you read? I'm like, there's a lot you're gonna take away. It's like, just from my perspective alone, attitude, like mindset, like it's a lot you're gonna take away for sure, and be thoroughly entertained at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like it's definitely a lot of skills and just, you know what I'm saying, attitude and perspective that you gonna adopt.
Incredible life
Hopefully
skills.
you'll adopt.
And yet I have to admit, I really wasn't expected to be as entertained as I was during this story. I thought it was just going to be all like, oh gosh, gloom and doom. But yeah, it is a very entertaining story. And the way that you put it in perspective and you make it, you make it funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you can laugh about something about like being locked up in a Chinese prison for 14 days. Wow, that's pretty. And even the way you explain it in your profile, when I saw your profile, you were arrested and detained. And I'm going, detained, doesn't that mean that he was in prison? You know, I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I'm a Sagittarius, so we got a great sense of humor. It don't matter how serious the situation is, we gonna shed light, you know what I'm saying, or make fun. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make a funny out of, you know what I'm saying, out of anything. Just gotta laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, well, I come from a family that laughed at everything, no matter how inappropriate, because it's like that's the only way we got through some things.
You know what I'm saying? So,
That's
and
what you do.
the attitude is everything. So,
okay, so that was your first book then.
Yeah.
14 Days in Beijing. Everybody, so I know you're listening, you have got to check this book out. I mean, just go to Amazon, check it out. It is a phenomenal book. And the fact that it got, let me see, it was got ranked #1 on Amazon over 15 times in multiple genres. That's really saying a lot.
Because it was
what a story.
originally how I originally released the story. I ain't gonna sit here and portray this ultimate poise like I've been had this whole publishing thing figured out. Now I got an idea, I just took it and ran with it. It was a lot of adjusting, a lot of freestyling within it. So I was gonna release the whole thing as one solid book, but I had only ended up getting 7 chapters, half of the book back from my editor. So I'm like, I wanted it to release it on April 4th. So I'm like, dang, we weeks away, like not even like 2 weeks away, 2-3 weeks away. I'm like, I ain't even got the whole thing back. I only got half of it. So I'm like, I'll just split it in 2. And my partner that was like, that told me to write the book, he's like, I feel like you should split it down even more. You know what I'm saying? So I originally released 14 Days in Beijing as a 5-book series of short stories. So, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So
yeah.
It played out perfectly though. You know what I'm saying? It played out perfectly with me doing that. But my bestseller is, man, 3 chapters, like 40 some pages. The one that went #1 multiple times, 40 some pages. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that makes sense now, because when I looked at your website the first time, I was a little confused. It was like, wait a minute. So now, okay, that makes sense. So, all right. So you write the first book. What possessed you to write the other books? Because you have 2 more, right?
Yeah, it was a number of different factors. So the same partner that was like, hey, you should write 14 days. 14 days was going crazy. He's like, but you need to go ahead and write the romance. I'm like, nah. Because you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't even in the headspace to tap back into all those emotions. Nah, I'm good on that. And honestly, I didn't expect myself to write any more books. I'm like 14 days is it. You know what I'm saying? I took this, knocked it out of the park. I'm like, I don't see myself writing anything else. But he was like, man, you should write. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Another factor was a lot of women that was reading 14 Days. They was like, okay, you talk about this girlfriend of yours all throughout the book, but you never actually get to speak to her. And then at the end of the book, you released, and that's the end of the story. So what happened with you and her? How y'all play out? What's the tea on that? You know what I'm saying? So females want to know about how me and her played out.
Okay, so you didn't even realize it at the time that you had left this incredible cliffhanger.
Yeah.
In the book.
That's what I'm saying. It's just freestyle.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's divine. That's like divine timing. Like, it's just crazy how it all played out. But what really sold me and, you know what I'm saying, provoked me to write the book was months later. I was just doing research on just self-publishing, just trying to enhance, you know what I'm saying, learn as more skills as I can. And I was looking at the best-selling genres. And when I saw romance at the top of the list, it was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm like, oh, yeah. I had my partner up. I said, hey, bro, send me another outline. He sent me the outline. 2.5 weeks later, that thing was wrote. 2.5, I wrote that thing in 2.5 weeks, talking about locked in. But just, I had all those emotions, everything just, you know what I'm saying, just bottled up. So, man, I just went crazy, put it all on paper. And then just spent the additional, I wrote that thing, I started it in February, I want to say. Yeah, finished it in February. And didn't publish the first version until November of that year. So I went through all that time, all those months just editing it and just trying to figure out how I'm going to, you know what I'm saying, come up with the cover, what I'm going to call it. And I was going to originally release it as one book. And then my partner was like, nah, bro, I feel like you got to split it. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we split it up.
Who is this guy? I'd love to meet him.
Marco Reddins. He's he's a multi-published author as well. So he's like, bro, you should, nah, bro, we got to split it up. So I'm, I bet. So that's when we split up into 2 parts. and it was crazy because we did a photo shoot for the one. It was going to be one book, so we did a photo shoot for that one book in August, and I was going to release it on my birthday, and which is November 22nd. So we creeping up. It's November. And my partner's like, bro, I feel like we should split it up. I'm like, bro, we weeks away. What you mean split it up? And he's like, bro, I feel like we split up. I'm like, I bet. So we split it up. And I'm like, well, I need a new cover for, you know what I'm saying, part one of the book. So we arranged, all my covers ain't number photo shoots. You look at my covers, it's literally, bro, photo shoots. You know what I'm saying? So we arranged a photo shoot. Well, I just hit up folks who could come through. We found a venue that looked like a class setting. You love, you learn. So you know what I'm saying? We did that. We shot that cover like days before the book actually dropped. And you know what I'm saying? And released that part one. And then part two of the book ain't released till May of the next year.
You must be the most laid back and zen person I have ever spoken to, because especially as an author, if it was just that close to publishing and we still didn't have a cover, I would be a crazy person.
But I'm not, it ain't gonna be hard to do. All we need to do is take some pictures. And then I got my book cover designer already set. So like we just need images now. So it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And the story was already finished. That part we ain't even had to worry about that. We just needed a cover. So that's how it was crazy how that played out for sure, just freestyling the whole thing.
Okay, so now another question. Do you have any more books under your belt, or are you done?
I do, but I didn't write it. So now I'm an author turned publisher. So I started my own publishing company in 2021.
Of course you did.
Yeah, Corley Publications LLC, which all my books are published through. And I started, when I dropped 14 Days originally, so many people started reaching out to me that I grew up with, you know what I'm saying, I knew, who had aspirations of being an author their entire lives. And they just saw me do it and knock it out of the park. So now they reaching out to me, trying to see whatever game I got to give. I'm willing to work with any and everybody. This ain't my field. Like, but somebody gave me the sauce, I took it and ran with it. So I'm obligated to pass down this knowledge. So I started working with people since then, but I had one person actually see the whole thing through. I met him 2021 on a podcast interview. Me and him were both guests. But I was sitting there talking about my book. And so after the show, he put me to the side like, hey, bro, I had this idea for this book I've been wanting to write, but I just don't know how to go about it. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm like, for sure, I can walk through the whole process. So we started in 2021 and he released it on October 10th. October's last year, 2022. And he was ranked the #1 new bestseller in 2 different genres. You know what I'm saying? So that's our first author that we have up underneath Corley Publications LLC that we done published, and they have a hand. We ain't write a single page of it. You know what I'm saying? We just edited and walked them through the whole process. And I'm working with about 2-3 other people right now, and we're very we on the damn near victory lap of their books too. So it's like I'm excited to get their books published and see how their books do in the market, and you know what I'm saying, and just continue to grow Corley Publications from here.
Okay, so let's go back to as they were processing you at the very beginning when they're, you're arrested and you're being driven all over in this van into different facilities. And then there you are in this little cell with all of these Chinese guys, how many, 14, 15 of you, and 9 beds. Did you ever imagine that your situation would turn into what you're doing now?
Subconsciously, yes. Because when I was in the first precinct, the first precinct we went to, I'm sitting there handcuffed. I'm like, bro, I don't know how this shit finna play out. But however it go, however this thing go, I know I'm gonna be good when it's all said and done. I'm still gonna be me. My mental still gonna be intact. My spirit's still gonna be strong. I'm still gonna be me. I'm gonna be good. I just don't know how this thing. I just don't know what's gonna take place. But whatever it is, it won't be nothing I can't handle. So with that being said, take note of every minor detail, because it's going to be a great story to tell once you're out of this predicament. I said this to myself. And most importantly, enjoy this high one last time, because we don't know what's going to happen to us, boy. Me, I said all that to myself. But I didn't know I was going to write the book. I knew it was going to be a great story to tell. That's all I knew.
Wow. I just love that whole, what you just said about it. You don't know how this shit's going to play out, but I'm telling you, it's going to be good. I mean, I think that I'm going to have to write that down somewhere, because I think that's something we all need to remember, is when we think we're in such a terrible situation, it's like, we don't know how it's going to play out, but it's going to be great. I mean, some of the best things that have happened to me on, coming through some really horrible situations. And it was like, well, if I'd have known that then as I was going through it, I wouldn't have, sweated it so much, or maybe
You know what
wouldn't
I'm
have
saying?
suffered so much. It's like, there's always something once you get through it, there's always that blessing at the end, or the rainbow at the end of the storm,
Yeah.
whatever.
Things got to get worse before it can get better.
Absolutely. Gosh, what a story. Chancellor, you've been such an incredible guest. I love our conversation. Just
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Love your story. Like I said, I love it, but glad it didn't happen to me. Don't think I could have been so zen about it. But go ahead and just give the audience the information. How could people get a hold of you if they want help with their book, or how even to start a book, your publishing company information? How can they get a hold of you? Where can they buy your books? And how could they get started on writing their own?
For sure. So the best search engine we got, Google Chancellor K. Jackson. Everything you need will pop up, from my social media accounts to my website, chancellorkjackson.com. My books are available on Amazon as well as my website. For my non-readers out there, I got you. I got the audiobook for 14 Days in Beijing available on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. And I'm narrating it. It's a vibe. So definitely get your popcorn and wine ready for sure. Any inspiring authors out there, visit chancellorkjackson.com. You can sign up for a free consultation. We can tap in and see if we're a good fit for each other. And you know what I'm saying? We can make this thing happen. No cap. And yeah, man, yeah. Just Google me. You'll find everything you need. Other interviews I've done, the whole nine. For sure.
One last question for you. Where do you get your energy from?
Man, I think it's a combination of my parents and my ancestors, bits and pieces of my whole bloodline. You know what I'm saying? For sure, for sure. Bits and pieces of my whole bloodline. And I always been like this. Always been the positive dude, you know what I'm saying? The voice of reasoning, that breath of fresh air. For sure, for sure. The sage, all of that. You know what I mean?
Well, you certainly have been a breath of fresh air here. I've just loved the conversation. Do you have one final little tidbit that you want to leave the audience with?
Absolutely. I want to leave y'all with this message / quote, and it's from Nipsey Hussle. And for y'all that don't know who Nipsey Hussle was, Nipsey Hussle he was a philosopher, philanthropist, a mogul, a serial entrepreneur, but well known for his rap music and his clothing line from South Central LA, Rolling 60s Crip. And the message goes, long-winded, running through this life like it was mine. Never settling, but setting every goal high. 1,000 burpees on the path to my own self-destruction or success. But what is a mistake without the lesson? You see, the best teacher in life is your own experience. And none of us know who we are until we fail. They say every person is defined by their reactions to any given situation. Well, who would you want to define you? Someone else or yourself? Whatever you choose to do, homie, give your heart to it. Stay strong.
Incredible words of wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here. And I think we better wrap it up, because there's quite a scuffle going on above my girl cave. I don't know if you can hear it, but oh, that's good. Because the dogs are really tearing up the house up there. I can't wait to see what's going on once I go up there and see what they've done. Anyway, Chancellor, it has been an honor to have you on the show. I am just so thrilled that you came on and shared your story. I'm so glad that you're doing so well. I really didn't expect to be this entertained, like I said.
I appreciate you for having me. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that tuned in and stayed tuned in for the whole episode, man. You're a real MVP, like I said before.
And everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you. Always do share this episode with everybody, because we can all use a little bit of positivity. And that kind of Chancellor's positive energy, his enthusiasm is just contagious. And that's a kind of contagion I would really like to have. So do check out his website, check out his books. If you're interested in writing a book, contact him. Great guy if you're looking for a speaker. he would be another person, talk to him about that as well. I am losing my verbal skills, so I think it's time for me to sign off. So thanks again for listening, and Chancellor, thanks for being here.
Hey man, appreciate you.
And that is the way of the FemiNinja.